This morning, Sileon closed their books for the second quarter of 2024, and standing beside me is new CEO Kent Hansson. Welcome.
Thank you.
We'll begin, of course, with your CEO-ship, if you would call it that. You've entered the role in a capacity that is acting, as I understand it.
Correct.
Could you begin by giving us a little introduction of yourself and telling us why you've stepped to the role?
Sure. Well, formally I stepped in because I'm chairman, and as a board we decided to replace the CEO, so I had to step in as interim. My background is as an entrepreneur and investor. So I came in to Sileon as an investor in 2021, and I joined the board later in 2021 and became chairman early 2022.
And you're still chairman today?
No, I cannot be that. Since we're a listed company, I had to step down from that. So I'm still a board member, but we had to re-elect chairman, so it's Linus Singelman.
And interim and also acting, it seems that the solution isn't permanent. What sort of new candidates are you currently looking for?
Well, we actually haven't started looking yet because we made this decision in June. Summer has passed, and we need to know a little bit more about the requirements before we start the search for new candidates.
Do you know a timeline currently? Will you start looking towards Q3, Q4, or how does it?
Depends on how things play out, but we need to do a little bit more research before we start the process.
If we move on to the report then, if you look at the operating income, it came in at 16.4 million crowns, and this is to compare from last year's Q2 report where the figure was 13.6. EBITDA is still negative, but the loss is a bit lower from previously 8.3 million crowns to 1.5. Tell us about the quarter. Are you satisfied?
No, obviously not. That's the reason why I'm standing here in front of you. But if we start with the revenue is affected by the business area processing, which we terminated during the quarter. So we had final payments from clients, which gave an uptick in revenue. That will not continue. So revenue going forward will be from payments, the business area payments and payments only. And we will start to see gradual revenue impact from BNPL SaaS, but it will start on a very small level. In terms of costs, we start to see some decrease, Q1 versus Q2, but the bigger decrease you will see in Q3 as we made some staff redundant in Q2, and that affects only in Q3.
And moving on to Q4 then, what sort of cost reductions can we see then?
You will see gradual cost decrease over time because we need to lower the cost to match the revenue.
Do you have a sort of timeline today when you expect to be profitable?
We don't. It all depends on when we sign new clients and how fast we can integrate them.
And talking about integration then, because you wrote in the report that following this quarter you have now 2 banks with your BNPL solution. It's OKQ8 and it's also, of course, the Mexican bank Bancaul. Could you tell us about the onboarding process? How long does it take, and what do you expect to learn from it now that you're onboarding your first customers?
Well, we expect to learn a lot. Obviously, it's the first customer, and we have made a lot of learnings already to date. But in terms of going live, we know that Bancaul is ready to go live in Q4. Having said that, that's technically they're ready to go live. Then they need to start market this offering to their clients. So there is some time lag between going live and us getting revenue. When it comes to OKQ8, we will start the integration planning together with them during this fall.
And the timeline there for OKQ8, where do you expect that to be?
I don't know right now because we need to sit down with them and start the integration planning, so I'll have to come back on that.
Could you comment anything on the current discussions you're having with potential new clients?
Well, we have good discussions. Nothing is done until it's signed, so I can't really say much more than that.
Could you tell us more about the cash reserves that you've gotten from the rights issue that you completed? It's 55 million SEK, where 20 million of which will be used to repay a convertible loan. Remaining is, of course, 35 million. How will you use that cash?
Well, the rights issue was 57 million SEK, so knocking off transaction costs about 2 million SEK, 55 left, as you said. It was very important for us to repay the convertible loan to reduce interest costs in line with the general cost decrease that we talked about earlier. And the remaining proceeds will be used to support the costs we have in the company until we're cash flow positive.
Kent Hansson, acting CEO of Sileon, thank you very much for being here and answering my question.
Thank you.